Hi, this is Debbie House. I'm the Editor-in-Chief of Retail TouchPoints, and I'm joined here today with Casey Chroust, who's the Executive Vice President of Retail Operations for the Retail Industry Leaders Association. Thanks for joining me today, Casey. First, before we begin, Casey and I will be talking specifically about what's going on with mobile payments and NFC. But first, I'd like to ask Casey to introduce himself and talk a little bit about the Retail Industry Leaders Association. Thanks, Casey.
Thanks, Debbie. Great to be here. The Retail Industry Leaders Association, RILA, R-I-L-A, is a trade association for the largest, the most successful, essentially the leading retailers in the country. Our members are retailers who span all segments of retail, and they're pretty much the big leaders out there: Walmart, Target, Best Buy, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walgreens, down through the list. And we do government affairs activities for them, as well as retail operations activities, which is what I lead.
Terrific. Thanks very much. So the first question I want to ask you is just in general, can you share your insights on the latest developments in mobile payments in the retail industry?
Well, if you're talking about the latest development for mobile payments, definitely topping the list would be ISIS. And ISIS is a new venture that's been recently announced between Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. And essentially, the carriers have committed to providing NFC, near-field communication chips, in their handsets, and their phones, essentially. And they've partnered with, are in the process of developing partnerships with credit card companies, the networks, as well as credit card issuers, the banks, and of course, the retail merchants, our members, in order to try to set up a mobile payments infrastructure that really works through the mobile phone. It's been an announcement that's definitely taken the industry by storm, and it's been exciting news. And I think why it's so exciting is because it's being led by the handset manufacturers. You know, so often hardware and the handset could be an obstacle to this, and how do you get customers to use it? It all comes down to the customer and them adopting this. And when the device and the technology that they need to use is going to already be in their phone, that's half the battle. And seeing them unite together and have some commonalities and some agreement and some consensus on the direction it's going to go is only going to help really move us further down that path.
So do you have any idea of what the implementation timeline might be for something like this?
Well, it's interesting you asked that, because there's a lot of different components. I can tell you that ISIS is actively developing these partnerships and these contracts with the different stakeholders, again, being on the credit card side and the network payment side, as well as the issuers, the banks, and then our retail merchants. And I know that it's an active process. I was just on the phone with them the other day. They're hoping to have another round of announcements later this summer. And then after those announcements, I really think it's going to shift into the implementation phase, where you're going to see retailers and handset manufacturers starting to roll this out. And the timeline is still to be determined, but I think you'll hear a lot of people starting making plans at the end of this this summer, as well as early fall. And I think you'll probably see people trying to implement as fast as they can, maybe as early as 2012. Don't hold me to that, though. This is, it's a foggy and unclear crystal ball at the moment.
So let's stay on the topic of NFC for a few minutes. Are there any other groups that we should be aware of who are putting together services like this that the retail industry will be able to use for NFC?
Well, there are some other competing technologies and options out there, and I think that's one of the things that does make retailers take a pause and hold for a moment. And an example of that would be NFC stickers. It's still NFC, but it's actually not a chip embedded in the phone. It's just a sticker. It gets slapped on the back of a phone. I could put that sticker on anything if I wanted to, but the reason they're looking to do it on the phone is because people are most likely to carry their phones with them everywhere. I mean, it is that ubiquitous device that we all have with us at all times. And so that is another option that You could call it complementary, which I think it can be viewed that way, but it also could be competing if a large group went another direction. I think as long as that one stays NFC, though, you're going to see them that stay in line. It could be a complementary approach to this. I could see them even taking that sticker and applying that, and this being ISIS or people going with an NFC solution to older devices. They're going to start rolling out this chip in the new phone. Well, what about the old phones? Well, this is a way you can address that with a sticker. Another totally divergent option for retailers are kind of your barcode applications. If you take your smartphones these days, such as an iPhone, a Google Android phone, a BlackBerry phone, whatever the case may be, they all have applications on them these days. And there are already proven cases out there where some retailers have decided to have their own store app and some other ones are even looking at payment applications themselves, where a barcode essentially comes up. You use your barcode reader at the point of sale, you put it up on your phone, you hit it, and it reads it off the phone, and you pay it that way. So that is definitely one that's out there that is already in use, actually, and others are looking at the possibility for that. And the last one, again, what are the other carriers going to do? ISIS is 3 carriers. There's a lot of other carriers. Are they going to try to do something that's a competing technology platform? What about something like Google, perhaps, that has so much market share across the board? They already have their own phone that's out there, being like an Android smartphone. What do they do? And don't forget, they have Google Checkout as well, already tied up into this. And could they leverage their Google Checkout functionality on their own phone to do something unique too? Never doubt Google, right? They're such a huge and influencing organization there. But I think hopefully that gives your listeners and readers a little sense of the landscape that's out there and how there are some different things that are still yet to be worked out, though.
So it sounds like there's a lot to come. In the meantime, I know that lots of retailers are getting involved with mobile payment today. And can you talk a little bit about a few of the retailers who are kind of industry leaders and are doing a good job right now with mobile payment?
Yeah, I think I'll mention a couple that are real solutions that are out there. One is Best Buy. Best Buy did a pilot of a mobile payments program, and it involved that NFC sticker I was telling you about earlier. They had a number of customers, and they did it in a select market where they gave out those NFC stickers to a whole number of customers and really employed a mobile checkout process. A lot of insightful learnings for them, and I think very representative of what retail as a whole is pretty much doing right now. A lot of retailers are testing pilots, a full wide-scale chain rollout. Not many are at that phase yet, but a lot are testing pilots, and I think that's a perfect example of one that has been tested, and they had some very positive results with that program. I think another one that is very real and perhaps bucks the trend to some degree of a small pilot is Starbucks. And Starbucks has rolled out a full chain-wide implementation. And they've gone with the barcode scanner route that I was telling you about earlier. And essentially, on their Starbucks application for their smartphones, let's take the iPhone, which is what I have, and I'm sure many of your listeners do too. You have that application. Essentially, it is tied to a gift card, and that Starbucks gift card you can reload, and you can even set it up within the functionality of the application to load your card automatically at certain points and in certain increments with dollar values. And of course, what you do is you open that application. There's a little button you push that says touch to pay. Up comes the barcode scanner. You swipe it in front of that scanner, and then it's instantly credited against your Starbucks gift card, essentially, that's in there. What's nice about that program that I also really enjoy is they've tied it to their loyalty program. So they're tracking how much coffee you're drinking, how many, the types of drinks. So they're collecting some nice data on their customers, on the retailer side, on the consumer side. Of course, you're rewarding them with loyalty points, and that's a win for both sides. So I think that's a very unique application. That one has rolled out chain-wide. They've made a very significant investment in that, and I think they've been first to game in doing so. I think one of the big drivers for them, and why I do like, is that tie into the loyalty program, which is something that a lot of our retailers are trying to figure out and work through. And I think there's a lot of potential there to make that happen.
Great. Yeah, it makes an awful lot of sense for retailers when they're implementing these kinds of programs to gather the data, connect it with loyalty, and be able to follow up with their customers. Do you think and/or recommend retailers sort of forge ahead with mobile payments at this point, or do you think that a lot of them are going to take kind of a wait-and-see approach to see what happens with NFC before they actually jump in to mobile payment?
I think there's two main camps of retailers. I think the first camp is those that are actively testing pilots and piloting out there, and little small test stores where they're working through this. I think it makes a whole lot of sense to actually test out the functionality, try out the hardware, try the software. Most importantly, see how it's going to be blended into your operations. There's a lot of different things to figure out on that side as well, and really make sure you identify the ROI and the actual value you're going to create and tie it to that. Hey, it's got a big mobile payments, has a major opportunity to streamline the checkout experience, which is, as we all know as retailers, the number one factor for customer experience is the checkout process. So retailers are out there trying to save seconds off of that. So it's definitely a customer experience play, but also could be, again, that checkout play of, you're able to get more transactions rung up. Maybe you don't need as much labor at your checkout point, POS terminals there as you had to have in the past. Again, I think there's that one camp, though, of the piloting group. I think most of the other camp is in the really the wait and see mode. The last thing, if you step back from it all, any mobile payment solution is going to take a large investment of capital on retailers' part. It's not something that you just can implement. You have to change your whole point of sale hardware and infrastructure to accommodate mobile payments. Take the readers themselves. And, for the retailers, our members, of course, and a lot of the retailers out there, we're not talking, 1, 2, 3 stores. We're talking hundreds of stores, thousands of stores. And to make that investment, you got to be sure that the direction you go in is going to be right. The last thing you want to do is, to steal an analogy from the past, so you want to bet on beta and have VHS be the one that plays out, or bet on, HD DVD and have it Blu-ray being the one that wins. And that is why they're kind of in this wait and see mode. They're going to see what's getting the most traction, which is really going to be the solution that does prevail. So when they do invest those large sums and just the time and the scale of that type of an implementation and then integration of the operations, that it's really going to work and it's going to be a long-term solution for them. And so since you don't have any clear winner yet, that kind of puts them in that wait and see mode. So I think that's really the current mindset of our retailers right now.
Casey, thanks so much for your insights today. I know that you have an event coming up and will be able to share much more with the retail industry at that event. Can you just fill us in on the timing, the dates and times of that event?
Yeah, thanks, Debbie. It's going to be June 27th to 29th in San Francisco. It's our Mobile Retailing Executive Summit. It's our second year. We had one last year. All the leading retailers showed up in full force. And we're expecting another great turnout this year. We're going to cover topics like mobile payments. ISIS, for example, is going to be there, and they're hoping to be able to make another announcement and share some insights and maybe a case study or two. And we're also going to talk about other things like mobile marketing, talk about iPads too. How is that going to try to change the landscape? But a whole myriad of the mobile issues. Those in attendance are going to be your chief marketing officers, your CIOs, and really those owners, maybe the SVP, VPs of e-commerce and mobile commerce. So it's a great event. We're really looking forward to it, and encourage all your listeners and readers to come partake. So thanks for the time today.
Thanks a lot again, Casey, and we will look forward to covering that event here at Retail Touchpoints. And just to conclude, thanks everyone for listening today. Have a great day.